Nobody warns you how cold a hospital room can feel when you're 6 years old, clutching your mom's hand and praying she'll wake up. That was me, Kyle, glued to her bedside, whispering softly, "Please come back, Mom." All around me, machines beeped steadily, and her breathing was shallow, fragile like a fading song. Ever felt so scared your whole body trembles, but you force yourself to be brave? That was my world, until a gentle knock startled me. Mrs. Nora, our old landlady, peeked in, eyes soft but tired, like she'd seen too much pain. She offered me food, but I shook my head. I just wanted to be with Mom. Bills piled up, hope ran thin, and I was just a kid who didn't know what the next day might bring. When I nervously asked if she knew where a kid could make some money, she hesitated, then remembered a music contest at Harper Music Studios. The next morning, I stood in front of this huge building, surrounded by kids dressed like stars, while I wore my worn shoes and faded jacket. The lady at the front almost turned me away, until I told her my name, Manderson. The moment felt heavy. Everyone behind the desk froze, their eyes flickering like they recognized something I didn't. Hours later, sweaty and anxious, it was my turn. The audition room was massive, 3 judges, and at the far end, a man staring at my name like it was a ghost from his past. Zayn Anderson. My idol, Zayn Anderson. When he asked if that was really my name, I nodded, watching his face twist in shock. He told me to sing. No music, no backup, just me and a song my mom wrote years ago, filled with every ounce of hope and fear I carried. The judges were silent. Zayn looked like lightning had struck him, tears threatening to fall. That song was our secret, only Mom and I knew it. He wiped his eyes. I wondered if I'd made a mistake, but he said softly, "You impressed me, kid. That's all I needed." The next day, my name was at the top of the list. Some kids smiled, others whispered rumors, saying I got special treatment because of my name or because Zayn pulled strings. But the truth? I just wanted a chance, a shot for Mom. There are moments in life so raw, so unexpected, they shatter everything you thought you knew about the world and yourself. For me, that moment came at the tender age of 6, sitting in a cold, sterile hospital room, clutching my mother's fragile hand as machines beeped quietly around us. I was Kyle, a scared little boy whispering to her, praying she'd wake up from that endless sleep. The fear was crushing, so heavy it made my whole body tremble, but I forced myself to stay strong because I knew she needed me to be brave. Outside those hospital walls, life was a battle I didn't understand. Bills piled up, the weight of them pressing down on my small shoulders. I was lost, terrified, and clueless about how to save her. Then, hope came knocking in the form of Mrs. Nora, our kind but weary landlady, who mentioned a music contest at Harper Music Studios. The very next day, I stood before the towering building, feeling like I'd stepped into a different world. Around me, kids wore designer clothes and walked with confidence. I clutched my worn-out shoes and faded jacket, my heart pounding with a desperate hope. Inside that massive audition room, I was just a small kid with a song and a dream. 3 judges sat stern-faced, but it was the man at the far end of the table who stopped my breath. Zayn Anderson, the legendary music icon who had inspired me all my life. When he saw my name, something changed. The air shifted, heavy with a silence that screamed louder than words. I learned that day that Zayn wasn't just a famous singer. He was my father. A truth neither of us was ready for, but one that connected us instantly. I sang the song my mom had written for me years ago. No music, no backup, just raw emotion pouring from my soul. The room was still, then stunned. Zayn's eyes glistened with tears, a flood of feelings crossing his face, regret, hope, disbelief. But this was just the beginning of a journey neither of us expected to take. Life outside the spotlight wasn't easy. Mom was still fighting for her life, and I was fighting to keep us together. I faced bullies who mocked my ragged clothes and called me lucky for having a famous last name. But when they pushed me too far, Zayn's voice thundered through the halls, stopping the hate in its tracks. He stood up for me, not just as a star, but as a father, fiercely protective and fiercely proud. We spent endless days in that hospital room. Zayn held my hand and taught me music, stories, and hope, even as the shadows of doubt loomed over us. When Mom finally moved her fingers, her eyes fluttered open and she whispered his name. A moment so fragile and powerful it changed everything. Confessions came pouring out. The reasons for secrets kept, the sacrifices made, the pain of a family torn apart by circumstance and silence. Slowly, our world started to heal. The studio welcomed us with open arms, Rumors faded, replaced by cheers and high fives. Mom left the hospital, stepping into a new life with us. Zayn embraced his role not just as a father, but as a partner, proposing to Mom in a moment full of tears and laughter that felt like a dream. And just when we thought we could breathe, came the news that would change everything again. Mom was pregnant with twins. The chaos that followed was equal parts hilarious and heartwarming. Zayn fumbling with hospital bags, Mom glowing with hope, and me finally feeling like I belonged to a family that had fought for every ounce of love. Old wounds reopened when Mom's parents, long absent, showed up seeking forgiveness. But with every tear and apology, our family grew stronger. We learned that even broken pieces can come together to make something beautiful. When the twins were born, the joy was overwhelming. A reminder that even after the darkest nights, the dawn can bring new life and new beginnings. This is not just a story about a boy who sang at a talent show. It's a story about survival, about love's stubborn power to heal, about forgiveness that feels impossible but becomes essential. It's about finding family where you least expect it, and learning that sometimes the greatest battles we face are not on stage, but in our hearts. So, are you ready to join me on this unforgettable journey? To witness the twists, the heartbreaks, the raw moments, and the triumphs. This is more than a story. It's a testament to hope, to resilience, and to the magic that happens when we refuse to give up on the people we love. Press play and step inside a story that will grip your soul one note at a time.